I am live now. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Thursday. I'm doing a joint live with Shireen Salman, and it's going to be another amazing live. Hello, Panora. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, Mauro John. Hello, Panorama Elahe. Welcome, everybody. Oh my goodness, Sogol is here. This is going to be the right live for you, Lovey. Hi, Ross. Hi, Abrisham. Welcome, everybody. Happy Thursday. Today I'm going to do a joint live with Shireen. And at first I thought she might be Persian. But she says no, she is British. And thank you, darling. And her father was from Egypt. So we're going to talk about two amazing subjects. Hi, Mirshad. Hi, Mohi. One is emotional blocks. Secondly, PSD. And Shirin is going to tell us about how she overcame her emotional blocks, her anxiety, and all that. And when we have that aha moment, that click of a second, that we feel like we are awakening, it's such an amazing space to be. So stay till the end of the live. Please pay attention. But generally, until I get Shireen to join me, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about our emotions. As you know me and you probably listen to my Farsi live, I keep talking about this, that so often from our childhood, our subconscious mind has put a couple of sentences or actions that some roles, some dreams, some trauma, some dramas, that it is not safe for us to feel. And then after a few times, our subconscious mind, which is trying to keep us safe, what it's doing is kind of blocking the emotions, or sometimes blocking even the memory or the emotion. So we don't see it or feel it on the surface. But as we all know, all of our emotional body has senses and they have memories. What happened to me in my childhood, when I was a year old or 2 years old or 5 years old, whether I'm consciously remembering it or is in the backtrack, or somehow my subconscious mind has sent it into my spam, still my cellular body is remembering that. Jeff is here. Hello, Jeff. You wanna send a request? Okay. I forgot all about you, Jeff. But by the way, Jeff is joining me too.
Hello. How are you? Am I sideways on your screen?
It's okay. We can watch the walls and what's behind you.
Let's see. Hold on.
That's the best picture I ever got from you. So where are you, Jeff?
I'm actually at my parents' place. I'm visiting my parents right now.
And where is that?
In Wildemar, California, which is just north of Temecula.
Oh, beautiful. I like your background. You're kind of matching with me. So
That's right.
I like that much more than your own place.
Oh, gee, thanks. It's better than
Yeah.
the orange wall or the purple wall or the gray wall.
Yes,
It's better
yes.
than the walls that were there before with like the sound treatment.
I know.
We'll
How have
get
you been,
there.
Jeff? How have you been?
Busy. Very busy.
Busy.
Up emotionally and physically. There's just a lot going on.
I know. I talked about that yesterday in my other live, that we had the major eclipse last night,
Mm-hmm.
right? and everyone is. So yesterday I was like, what is going on? Like everything that you could think of was shaken up, was going wrong. At the end of the night, I had a session. Normally I don't do that, like at night,
Mm.
but somebody was desperately asking me at 8 p.m. And she was telling me, she said, from since yesterday every single thing went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Her boyfriend, her lover has broken up with her. She got a message from her work that they want to fire her. They don't need her any
Mm.
longer. And they weren't happy anyway with the way she was working. She got into a fight with her mother, and her mother said, I don't know, I don't even want to call you as my daughter, and blah blah blah.
Wow.
So it was like, I was supposed to do 1 hour session. We ended up 2.5 hours because it was so much. She collected so much that it was like overwhelming. And she was like, what is going on? I said, where are she's in US. So I told her, I said, yes, it is the eclipse season. We all feeling it, but some are, for someone might be like extremely overwhelming. So yeah, we all understand. But
I don't
today,
I don't
yeah,
know, and maybe that was it, man. I was in it last night too. I was just in a bad way last night. It's just
we
what's
are
going
all
on.
we are all diving into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yesterday, for instance, all of my people who are working me, they disappeared. Like they lost their connections, like they lost power, and was this and that. And I was doing 2 lives yesterday, so I said, I'm just gonna go with it, whether they can be present or not. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. And this is it. This is the when the eclipse happened, we really question everything. I talked about it yesterday. Like it's all of a sudden you wake up and you have double espresso and you're just waking up, and I'm just like, what is my life all about? Like, what am I doing? You start questioning your relationship, you questioning your work, you start thinking like, what do I really want to do? Plus yesterday I got on Clubhouse, and so a lot of them, they know me, and as soon as I enter they bring me up to the speakers. And I was into an argument with, the title was, have you what do you think about UFOs, right? So a couple of people came and they were sharing their experience, their thoughts, but there were a cloud, like a mafias of doctors and some people who were claiming that they're scientists and that stuff. And they were like bullying all these people who were saying that they exist. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
UFO exists, and this is my experience, or this is how I feel. So I just listen. After a couple of hours, I came and I said, excuse me, if I say to you guys that, yes, I have talked to UFOs, I wonder what happens here. Do I lose all my credit of 30 years of coaching? Am I
Mm-hmm.
hallucinating? What is going on? And there was this doctor, and I kind of said to him, he said, oh, yeah, I've been in another room where you were speaking about your near death experience and out of body experience. And that happens when your inner ear is affected and that stuff. 3% of people who have issues with their inner ear infection or vertigo, that stuff, they're feeling that their soul is standing or looking at them and love, love, love. And I said to him, I said, yes, I remember you very well from the previous room, and you said the same thing. And I don't think I want to hear you telling me I'm not going to change my experience or what is. But what I'm saying is to stop bullying people. Like this girl came and she was speaking very scientifically, and then she started talking about all of a sudden about vaccination. And she said, we shouldn't be vaccinated. And oh my God, she got attacked by so many people.
Yeah. Well,
So,
it's tough because it's like, you know, I've said this before. I believe we've talked about this, but to me, the source of all conflict in the world is self-righteousness. And I don't care if it's person to person. I don't care if it's group to group. And group to group is everyone and everything, male to female, old to young, country to country, religion to religion. And we one of the things that really gets missed, and I think that we kind of, if we're not careful to reject some of the things that we hear throughout our lives, we can adopt it. People say things very casually, and then we can adopt that as our own belief system. We have to actively reject it. If we don't actively reject it, then our brain is going to kind of just let it go in, right? So if somebody says the word, yeah, people are stupid, all people, and everybody says this, like all people, they drive, everybody's a bad driver but me, right? And so when people say that, people are stupid, people don't know how to drive, there's this subtext of except for me, except for me. And it's like, but everybody's going around feeling that way. Everybody's going around feeling like everybody's stupid but them, or everybody's a bad driver but them, everybody's wrong but them. And everybody has a real bad case of I'm right and you're wrong. And that's including me, I'm not immune to this. And when you get into what can become very sensitive subjects, it just escalates so fast. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who is atheist, and I don't know if he's 100%, but he's definitely got atheist leanings. And I said, what's funny about that is you'll have like this group of atheists, and they're all kind of believe what they believe, and one of them has an experience that rocks their world, and they can't explain it. And it's not necessarily that they become any one religion. It's just that they go, whoa, this happened, and it's so impossible that I believe in something. And I said, rather than the rest of the atheists saying, well, what was that? They go, oh, we lost another one. You're stupid now. You used to be smart, but now you've become stupid. And it's this kind of like group protection, like pack mentality, that as soon as somebody falls outside of the pack, they start to get scrutinized and scorned and ridiculed by the rest of the pack. It's really weird.
mhm.
It's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
yeah. So I just wanted to tell everyone that yesterday was extremely intense because
Mm.
of the eclipse we had, and it was everything is right as we know universally, because we really have to wake up, get that aha moment, and seriously think about this, like how much longer do I want to live here, and while I'm going to be staying on planet Earth, what do I want to do? What do I love to do? What is it? Eclipse is one part of eclipse is let go of whatever no longer serves you. So
Hmm.
what is it, Jeff? What is it that needs to go in your life? What do you have to get rid of?
um, dare I say I overvalue human connection. Human connection is the most precious thing to me. And
So you want to let it go of all human connections?
it doesn't sound like a good thing. It doesn't sound like a good thing to let go of. I don't have a goal of living in a temple up on a mountain with a shaved head, like in isolation. But I really, to me, the way that I view things is that when we look at the things that we do, no matter what your job is, and I'm not condescending or elevating any one job or another, but we give it so much significance. And I look through the lens of everything that we do for 99.99% of us is within the construct of society that we've built. If that construct of society were to tumble, financial institutions and just the way that we live, all of that work that we do becomes pointless, most of it. And so the way I look at it is what seems to transcend all of that is the connection between two people, the energy shared between two people. And when there's conflict between two people, I often care way more than the other person does to resolve that conflict. And most people, we've talked about this before when we were talking about the conversation about being ignored. Just forget that person, forget that person. And I tend to not default to that, just kind of like, I'm going to do this and move forward in my own life. I tend to default to, why can't we all get along? Why can't we find a way for us to resolve conflict and peace, love, and harmony? I don't know.
Okay, so let's go through a list of stuff that we might want to let go. For one is being in competition, because
Mm-hmm.
right now, when you go on social media and you see the first page, as you open your Instagram, you got this page of explore, and you see all these glorifying lives that people are having so much fun and that stuff, and we start to envy them and envy that how come they all having so much fun? Don't they know it's COVID and like we're in lockdowns and that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Because Jeff, in a way, I mean, we're really lucky that we're living in US. um, I mean, I'm not with go for vaccines, but the fact that so many people got vaccinated, it just gives us more freedom. The restaurants are open and everything. And in Europe, I was talking to my family. The majority of my nieces and nephews lives in Paris, and it's like everything shut down. And I talked to her, and she was under her blanket, and I said, "Oh my God, it looks so depressing. What are you
Mm-hmm.
doing?" And she says, and she's a professor at university. She's extremely talented, very, very intelligent girl. She's only 3 years younger than me, and she says there's nothing going on. The only I go and teach at university, and then I go to the gym and I exercise for 1 hour, and I come home. That's it. No restaurant, no coffee shop, nothing is open.
Mm.
So I was like, oh, I feel so sorry for you guys, because the way you look is really depressed. And I said, how's the weather? She said, chilly and cold, kind of raining. I was like, oh my God. I
Yeah,
said, let me show you what's going on in California. So she was like, oh,
yeah,
she was looking at it. I said, I missed it. Anyhow, so, but what I'm saying, going back to what I was saying, is that we just look at people and we see, like, for instance, they went to winery, or they went to Napa Valley or something. A few girls got together and they're leaving the bus and they're all dancing. And when you look at that, you're saying, oh my God, they're having so much fun. Not knowing that they rehearsed that from before. They are also thinking in their head, how should they bring their channel up, they should make it interesting. They have talked to one another, let's get together, and
mm-hmm.
how about if we get a bus, and they're only showing you that 2 minutes that they have the music loud and they're
That's right.
dancing and leaving the bus, and you don't know, were they fighting before in the thing,
That's
and
right.
what was happening, and how is the rest of the day is gonna go, and what do they do every other day. So what I'm saying is, don't get tricked, but the movie that you see out there as people's lifestyle, which are the most popular thing. People are just so into see how do other people live their lives. So that's
Yes.
one thing that I'm gonna let go with this eclipse, guys. No
Competition.
competition, no looking at someone else, not comparing my life and journey with anyone else.
FOMO is real. Fear of missing out. It is real.
There we go. There we go. Yeah. So that's one thing. The other thing is this Clubhouse, Jeff. It's another addiction. I've
Mm.
been there for a week, and I just got this aha moment that, oh my God, another addiction. Because once you go there and you enter a room, then you listen to everyone, you hear everyone different ideas, and then sometimes Persians are extremely overly emotional. they get into fight, they get into arguments. So it's interesting, you know. Then all of a sudden, a room goes 7 hours. Some people are, and it's late because in Middle East it is 2, 3 a.m. And then you hearing them, they're still there and they're still talking, and they're like, yeah, you know, it's 3:30 a.m. and I'm really exhausted. I don't know what I'm gonna say, but I'm still here. And then they totally lost their energy, but they're still hanging out there.
You know what I like to do? I always like to once in a while break up the energy by saying, so have we saved the world yet? It kind of brings everybody back like, oh yeah, because everybody does this. Everybody likes to talk about their ideas and express how they feel, things could go. And, it's always kind of fun to just say,
I
hey,
don't
so
see,
have we
hold
saved
on
the
one
world?
second. I don't see Shireen, guys. She has to send me a request. I haven't seen her yet. I don't see her here. Shireen, welcome, first of all. Would you please, no, let me see if I find, there she is. Okay. Shireen is my other guest. Okay, Shireen, I found you and I accept your request. So let's see if what were you saying, Jeff?
I was saying that
Hello.
Hello. I was saying that I think it's always a good idea to break up that energy and just joke, hey, have we saved the world yet? Because it's always seems to be kind of the agenda. It's like, have we saved the world? Have we fixed all the problems?
Yeah, yeah. Hi, Shireen. Welcome, love. Can you hear me, Shireen? Hi. I think her connection is very slow.
I can see you and
Can't
hear
hear
you.
anything. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes,
Shireen, we can hear you, yes, but your internet somehow is not very strong. Are you at the best place? Are you close to your modem?
Been having some bad Wi-Fi issues today, so I'm just
Yeah. If you can move somewhere that you have a better connection, that would be great.
yeah, I'm seeing the little circle.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay. So, Jeff, what else are you willing to let go or you think is going to better your life? Hi, Parisa June. Welcome, Lavi. Welcome. You're late, Parisa. You're late. You know, my live started 20 minutes ago.
Oh, we
Okay.
lost her.
Yeah. Jeff, what else would you let go when you look back and you think, I don't think this is serving me. I should let it go. What else would it be?
Hmm. I've been
Last
able to
night
let
was
go of.
solar eclipse. Come on, Jeff.
I know
Didn't
it's
you
it's
do
still
your solar eclipse ritual?
it's
Didn't
still
you?
got some residual effects, I think. I think that like for me, it's maybe, another thing that I've been learning to do more of is reach out more, which this is going to sound maybe in contrast to what I said before, but to reach out more and get outside of my own point of view for outside, I don't like the word advice, but points of view. So if I'm going to make a decision, if it's a personal decision or a business decision, I've I'm learning to let go of my own agenda and ego and point of view with it and reach out to other people and be a little bit more I don't want to say what's the word I'm looking for, not taking a vote, but a little bit more just like if there's an important decision that I think needs to be made, perhaps reaching out to a number of people and getting everybody's kind of point of view and vote on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then moving forward with what seems like, like I remember just in a very simple case, this music learning game business that I've been launching, there was a design change that we needed to make, and there's only three of us in this company. It's me and my business partner and his wife, and that's it. And the three of us were weighing in on a design issue, and we didn't agree. And I thought, this isn't enough people. So I just started to send the images to a number of my musician friends and say, you know, hey, give me your vote. Give me your vote. Give me your vote. And if you have a reason for that vote. And that way, instead of it kind of coming down to three of us, it came down to, you know, over a half dozen of us. It wasn't a ton of people that got back to me, but at least it was over a half dozen people weighing in. And pretty soon it became very clear that one design was clearly the most popular. So that reduced a lot of internal turmoil because you're making a big business decision. We're going to make a design change. And you're thinking, oh man, I hope it's the right one. Rather than just saying, hey, let me set my point of view aside and reach out to a number of people and like take a survey, get some feedback, get it outside of you, you know?
Yeah. Okay, everyone who's here, please write a comment. What are you guys willing to let go from today on or tonight on, whatever time it is for you guys? What do you think, or what are the things that if you let go, the quality of your life would be much, much, much better? What is holding you back? And what would you replace it with? Because I was talking about this. I said, you know, the ego has this quality of not wanting to let go of anything. Ego constantly wants to add, but doesn't want to let go. Oh, Morrow said my extra weight and toxic. What do you have to say about that? Siva said perfectionism. Okay.
So perfectionism, because I've been a perfectionist, especially with anything that I want to show to the world, like, is often rooted in insecurity. And it boils down to that competition, insecurity that, you know, we're very afraid to be vulnerable and let people see us for our flaws. Now, what's really interesting is that perfection loses a lot of its appeal when we see something I think that is perfect. I think it's the imperfections and the flaws that really truly are beautiful in people, in places, in things, and ideas. It's that element that it definitely gets the most emotional reaction out of me. And I'm as afraid as anybody to show my vulnerability, to show the cracks in who I am and the flaws in who I am. And I have to constantly tell myself, but if that's what I think is beautiful in other people, then that's what people are going to think is beautiful in me, even though I'm like hating on myself. So that to me is my experience with it, being a perfectionist. And, you know, even something like, again, to use music as an example, you want to know where you become a perfectionist. It's like writing a song, writing song lyrics. And you're like, man, I have to write the perfect lyrics or nobody's going to like me. I have to write the perfect music or no one's going to like me. But then when I think about the artists that I love, I'll often listen to their very first songs, and you know, they're not always that good, and they don't always say the best things, and they don't always write the best songs, but there's almost I hate to use the word fragile, but there's almost a fragileness before they're really successful, and then their songs start to sound really produced and really finished and really polished and really perfected. And then you go back to that early work and there's a beauty to it that the later work doesn't capture. So I think it's hard to adopt that mindset that people are going to love what's not beautiful about us as the most beautiful thing about us.
Yeah, so Ross says, I think I have to get rid of my comfort zone and get myself out of it. So you're talking about changing state from being in a comfort zone to not being. Do you have something to tell her?
Sure. So our brains are designed to keep us safe. It's a survival mechanism. So you have to be aware of that. Don't make yourself wrong. And a lot of people make themselves wrong sometimes. I'm not saying you're doing that, but a lot of people make themselves wrong if they feel like they're being stuck in a comfort zone, and just realize, like, if you didn't have that, you would run off of a cliff because you thought it looked fun to do to see if you could fly. So fear in being comfortable is very, very important. Eating food instead of being starving and hungry. Like, our bodies are designed to that level of comfort because it ensures, it says, okay, I'm comfortable. I think that means I can survive a little bit longer. Once you recognize that machine, it's a lot easier to say, here's an action I want to take, and I want to take this action. And then when that mechanism comes up, you just acknowledge it. You go, oh, that's that mechanism. And it's easier said than done, but it gets easier the more you practice. And you say, oh, there's that mechanism again. And it's just showing up to keep me safe. It's showing up for survival. And hey, thank you. Thank it. Thank you, mechanism, for wanting to keep me safe. But you know what I really want to do? I want to take this action, and then go and take that action.
Yeah, something that I think it would be helpful is that when you want to get out of your comfort zone, what I'm picking up is I want to do something. I want to become somebody. I have some goals that I want to achieve, right? You're after a goal that you want to achieve, whether it's to lose weight or whether it's to um, get your educations or whatever it is. um, if you have the end goal in mind, and you constantly when that we talk, Jeff and I talked about that inner conflict. So this is being in your comfort zone in a way, is that inner conflict that is not allowing you to do what you want to do. So basically, when you see that feeling arises, look at the goal end. Remember, I talked about that when we were talking about inner game. So let's say that you today you wake up and you don't have the energy to do anything, and your that inner conflict or that comfort zone is like, let's take it easy today, let's just, we've been working too hard, let's relax and watch a couple of movies or Netflix. So what I'm saying is, when you hear this inner conflict comes up, stop that and keep running the end goal. Like, when you have become successful, when you're making that amazing income every month. And the other thing that I can recommend is to listen to motivational thing. I think it was yesterday, Maria, my friend, um, she sent me a Clubhouse, and I went there, and it was all about how to become a millionaire very fast. And she was, the points that everyone was saying is like, she was counting it, it's not as hard as you think to become a millionaire. And she was breaking it down. If you have like 4,000 people that's going to pay you like $300, or she would break it down and that stuff. And then, so when you listen to podcasts like that or stuff like that, that is very motivational. I'll keep reminding you about where you're going and what you want to do. I think that boosts you and it helps you when you think about that. Oh, yeah, I want to be a millionaire. And what am I going to do with that million? I want to have a beautiful house over there, and the feeling that I'm living in that house, and the car that I'm driving, and all the good things that I can do for myself and for others. When you keep running that in, it you can kick yourself out of it, and you get that energy coming up again. But as we all know, and Jeff said too, you have to keep running it. You have to change this, catch it. Oh, this is my comfort zone. Is the inner conflict. Keep thinking about the end and keep practicing it and practicing it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that helps you. Sherry 2222 in Fashion sent you a request. Who is this? Shirin says, negative people around me, even if it's my relative. So she wants to get rid of her. Okay, negative. And she said, ever since I saw her comment in another one, she says, ever since I was a kid, I was into competition with another sister. So what do you have to say? Do you have anything to say here when your close relatives are also the poisonous energies? And then,
Yeah, I've got a couple things. I mean, it's again, this is the work. This is where the work goes in is you know, we have to find a new comfort zone in really being your own champion and loving the path that you're on. And that doesn't mean accepting that your path is your path and your path alone. It's not accepting a level, like whether that's a low level or a high level. You're not settling. It's simply recognizing that. I mean, I've got several brothers and we're all in different places. We're all on different paths. And sometimes that'll happen with sisters where, it's when you, especially if you have that same gender. So if you have sisters, in my case, you have brothers, and it can be very easy, especially if you see a parent or you tell yourself that you see a parent favoring one over another. This goes back to what you were saying, Sudhi, where you don't know what the reality is. It's like you see that 2-minute blip of somebody and you say that's how it is all the time. And
Mhm.
you don't know that the person who you perceive is doing better than you is secretly and torturing themselves with their mind, and that's not to say that that is happening, but you don't know what's happening. And it's not a magic pill. You don't take this pill once and then you're all better. It's a muscle. You have to condition the muscle of constantly just loving people for where they're at. And loving people for where they're at is a very high level thing. It's not giving yourself to them. It's just a human love. It's just a human love of like that person's on their journey and that's great. And then loving yourself and the path that you're on and not making anybody wrong at any point, not making yourself wrong, not making the other person wrong.
So, Jeff, let's make it more personal. Let's make it about you. When you felt that your brother maybe was more, I'm not saying exactly more successful, but he
Sure.
was doing things differently. And how did you deal with it? Like in day to day, moment by moment,
Yeah. So
feel.
my younger brother is holds a significant position for a very significant financial institution. And he makes a lot of money and he owns a home in a very wealthy neighborhood. And it's very easy
And he
to
got a wife and he has kids
that's
and
right.
all American
That's
dreams.
right. That's right. That's
It's
right.
tough. It's really tough.
And so it it can be very easy to say a lot of things about that, and a lot of disempowering things about that. Ultimately, you would want your family and your friends to be successful. And you also think, well, what lifestyle do I want and what lifestyle do they have? Because while he's successful, it also occurs that he's a slave to his job. His job is his life, and not that you
Are
don't.
you talking to me now, Jeff?
And
I'm a slave to my job. Gotta admit. Yeah.
yeah, and it can be challenging to say, well, does this you don't know. I don't know happy, how fulfilled, any of that stuff. But what does that have to do with me? If you think about the goals that you have for your life, you just write them down. You go, okay, maybe he's there, I haven't always been positive about it. It's especially when I've been in a dip in my life, financially or emotionally, and I think, man, like this guy could help me, and the thing that's important, I think, is to be able to set the facts, the practical facts aside and be able to connect with that person and say, wait, I don't owe this person something and they don't owe me anything. And just connect with them and say, this is my blood family, like, and connect with that person. And however much or little that they have to give you, they're still giving it to you and you're giving it to them. And it's just seeing that higher level it's seeing that higher level resonance and connection between people. And it's not, it's like I said, it's easier said than done, because obviously, and that's, my situation's not even bad. I mean, I know people that their situation is bad, really severe disagreements between their family members, really severely different points of view. And I know people where their families can't even get together without fighting, you know? So, I mean, the fact that like my family can get together without fighting is a success compared to a lot of people. So,
Hello, Samire John. Just like say, welcome everybody. Welcome, Samire. Is on the line, Shadi. Hi, Lavi. Isabel, you're late again. What's happening? And Jeff is your favorite. Have you noticed Isabel is always taking sides and it's like, Jeff, you're amazing. He's your favorite speaker and you're late again for our live.
it sounds like there's some conflict there that you need to let go of, Sudie.
Oh no, I can't. I was going to talk about my emotional blocks and the fact that Isabel likes you more than me is just something that I have to work on. Yeah. So, did you ever ask your brother for help?
I did recently, actually. For the first time, I did. And I asked both my brothers for help because there was between my business partner and I, things were getting a bit stressful because he was shouldering the bulk of the financial burden. And so I reached out to both my brothers and asked if they would invest in the company so that there could be a more equal, equity in the business. And it's not 50-50 yet, but it brought it a lot closer to that. And so it instantly changed everything. It instantly changed the energy and the dynamic. And I was very excited that my brothers saw the value in what I was doing. But I had to ask, like I didn't, I called them and I said, hey, look, I told a story about it. I said, hey, look, I know money is always kind of the conversation nobody wants to have.
So, how long did it take you? I mean, how long were you talking to yourself? Should I do it? Should I not do it? How long was that running in your head?
Maybe, I mean, I had thought about contacting them for maybe a month or two, but it really didn't take me
Oh
that.
my God, Jeff, it took you a month or two. You couldn't just think about it and
Well,
say, hey guys, I need your help
well,
right
there was
now.
there was a very specific circumstance that occurred, and without getting into the details of it, it was that there was conflict occurring over on their side that I needed to resolve. And so, and me getting help from my brothers to invest in the company resolved it. So that was significant because I didn't want to carry. I felt guilty. I felt guilty that conflict existed and that I could alleviate that. So that once I did that, it took a day. It took. I mean, that the day that I learned about that conflict was the day I reached out to my brothers.
Cool. Marul asked a question. Isabel said, sorry, I was in another class. I'm just playing with you, Isabel. You know that. So can you read Marul's question?
As a mom of three, how can I balance reaching my goals and not being, where is it? Not being selfish and also spend enough time for them? What is the boundary? I'm kind of confused about it. So one of the things that we do, I don't know where this story came from, but I've heard this story. It's kind of like an old parable of like the preacher that when he's preaching, he's thinking about making love to his wife, and when he's making love to his wife, he's thinking about preaching. And the moral of that story is that we often we're not present, and we've got all of these things that we really want to do, and we're not really present in any of them because when we're doing one thing, we're thinking about all the other things. And
Good point, Jeff.
And this is the muscle. Again, these are all muscles to be built. I do not claim to have them all built well, but the work that goes into building this muscle is into really blocking your time. And when you commit to blocking your time, you are present with that activity. So, it's you have the people in your life, you have the activities in your life, and you can say, well, what are things that must get done? What are like true demands that I have to get done? You've got to take care of certain things. You've got to eat, you got to run some errands, whatever. You have your own personal goals. So then you have the things that are really important to you that you want to chase after. You got your family, and saying, okay, so getting a calendar out and living a little bit more rigidly, a little bit more structured. Rigid might be a word people don't like. Structure is a word that people like better. So you have a little bit more structure to a calendar, and you say, okay, so from this time to this time, I am blocking this out.
So let me tell you Mor's situation. She got 3 kids,
Yeah.
right? Ages 5, 7, 10, 11, right? And they are home right
Mm-hmm.
now. Okay. So she's gonna schedule her day, and 6 a.m. one of the kids run, Mom, Mom, I want this and that, and they're jumping over the bed, and this one doesn't want to have breakfast. It's all the conflicts that's showing up with the kids and all that. So in her case, you have to understand her case that she's going to make the breakfast and they're running. One of them says, I don't want eggs. The other one says, I want this. The other one says, no, that. And all this chaos and the stuff that she has to make them and feed them breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the same time. They want to go out and have some time. She got to make sure that they're sitting because the classes are online. Watch each one of them. So in this situation, imagine yourself, Jeff,
I,
with
I
three
have.
kids.
So there's a difference between the demand of taking care of the kids and the spending time with them in their activities. So while not human, I did have 3 little dogs. And let me tell you, when you wake up and they're pawing at you like we're going to go to the bathroom, and if I don't take out those dogs, they're going to go to the bathroom on the floor. So there's a real demand. I have to get up, I have to take them, and I have to feed them.
You can compare that, Jeff, because the dogs, you take them out for a walk for what, for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and they're done. Do you
It's
understand
not
having
5, 10 minutes.
two
But
crazy?
well,
Okay, 30 minutes, right? But
like
they
I
don't
said,
disturb you with your action during the day while you're
well,
studying or what?
the significance, well, here's the thing. I wouldn't compare, and this goes to what we were talking about. It's not, I said that I don't have human children, but it's not about the significance of human children versus fur children. It's that I understand the demand of I I can't have my time to myself right now because I have to tend to something that's a demand on my time right now. So there is a distraction, and there's a demand and I have to take care of it. The significance of it is different between the two of us, but there's still a demand. It's saying, okay, well, now what am I going to do about that? Am I going to get up an hour earlier so that I can have an hour to myself before I deal with that demand? Am I going to handle that? And then the rest of the time, if they're pawing at me for attention, say, no, you don't get that because I'm focused on my thing. And then I'm going to block out some time to spend with them later. Because, if you're going to have pets, you should play with them. You shouldn't just ignore them. So yes, it's different having pets versus humans. I get that. And the principles are still the same. There's still recreational time to be spent together. There's still demand on your time from them. And there's still time that you want to spend on yourself. And it's being able to really set those boundaries and know that if you're blocking off time and being present with it so that you can really fully mentally commit to it, you're going to make more progress than if you're distracted the whole time. And then if those demands come in and distract you, you should still be able to look back and see that you made more progress.
So let me. I don't think, Jeff, you're really seeing the picture. I mean, from the minute that she gets up, first of all, the kids are up from 5 or 6 or 7 a.m., right? From the minute that she wakes up, they are on her. The dilemma is three of them constantly complaining about the fact that they're not getting enough love and attention. One of the boys is overly active, doing all these crazy things, bugging the sister, getting this, and it's constantly this noise like, whoa, So, and they're awake till she goes to bed. I mean, she becomes exhausted in the afternoon at night. So picture this scenario again and see how would her goal fits in while you're constantly distracted with three kids and noises and a dog and all these things.
I'm kind of laughing for a couple of reasons. One of which is because my mom came home, and I'm like, maybe she had three boys, so I'm like, hey mom, maybe we should get her on here and figure
Get
out.
your mom on,
Say,
honestly.
how did you?
Is she willing to call?
Probably not.
Okay.
But say, how did you deal with it? You had three boys that were all doing exactly what you said. How did you do it? I think there has got to be. This is why I said it's easier said than done. There has got at some point to be a point where you say, the world is not going to come to an end if I don't give this attention. And I think that not being a mother, so I can't speak, the same way on it, but when we find ourselves in a position of demand, and I have been in a position of constant demand, even with, look, this is going to sound like, oh, that's completely insignificant, but try to take the significance out of this. I used to work in an industry where I was supporting, at one point, 24 salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
And those 24 salespeople all kept different schedules. Some like to work early in the morning, some like to work late at night, some like to work on the weekends. And all 24 of them had no problem calling me and reaching out for my help and advice and assistance when they were working. So I literally would have people calling me from 6, 7 a.m. till 9, 10 at night, 7 days a week. And I had to sit there and adopt, while I've got three dogs, while I've got my girlfriend, while I've got to eat and I've got to do my work and I've got to take care of things. So it's not that I am a stranger to demand. And at some point, you have to be firm and just go, I'm turning my phone off now. I'm turning my response system off right now. Unless somebody's bleeding, then I'm unavailable. If you're bleeding, okay, I'm available. We'll get you to the hospital or whatever. But unless somebody's bleeding or dying or something, my response system is shutting off, and I'm focusing on me, and I'm focusing on what I'm going to do. It's easier said than done, but that's the muscle. It's about setting boundaries and reinforcing those boundaries because your life depends on it.
Mm. Okay. So I don't know what you did. You must have done some voodoo magic because Shirin couldn't join our live. Or would you think this
Me?
is,
You're blaming me?
yeah, I mean, she was going to come, Jeff, and then she couldn't join.
You know why? Because she was going to agree with me on something and you didn't want that.
No, it's
I'm
funny.
kidding.
But we're still, it's going to take at least a couple of weeks for the aftershock of this eclipse, right? So usually I do my live sitting outside. So I put my phone and things there, and I hear this crazy noise. I couldn't figure out what it is. You're welcome, Maro. And I went out and I said, how long are you going to be? And he go, oh, the noise. I'm like, yeah, 5 minutes. Okay. So he cut out and I was like, okay, great. I can sit down and start my live. And all of a sudden, they're cutting the neighbor trees. Can you hear that? So I
That's
walked
noisy.
out again. I said, how long are you guys going to be? Oh, let me ask. And then he comes and he goes, till 4 or 5 in the afternoon.
Oh
So
no.
I was like, okay. So I moved inside and I have to bring everything in. So I'm telling you, we're still facing the after effect of the eclipse. But anyhow, my subject was going to be about emotional blocks. Do you have something to say about that, Jeff?
Um, why don't you detail your perspective of that really quick, and then I'll add to that.
Okay. Um, when I started live, I was saying that we know the first 7 years from the time that we're born till we're 7 years old is crucial timing,
Yes.
because that's the whole learning and everything that we give meaning to, the way we see the world, that our reality is built up, and that all of our beliefs and that stuff. So
Hmm.
I was saying that it just takes for a child, because I was saying that as children we are narcissists, and someone told me, what do you mean we are narcissists? I said, I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm just saying in a way that as a child, everything that happens around me, I make it about me. So the argument and the fight between the parents, it's because of me. If my parents get divorced, it's me. There's something that I have done wrong. That's why they couldn't get along. I said, that's what I mean by being narcissistic, because it's everything, the lens is on me. Everything I make, the ego mind makes everything about me. So I said, since we have this, it just takes a couple of times that we hear, like, I come to talk about my emotions or the way I feel or something, and they just ignore that. And it's like, Mom, I'm not really feeling well. Oh, come on, get over it. There's nothing wrong with you, and blah, 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 right? Or if something I say that I feel I'm afraid, oh, come on, grow up. You're a boy. You shouldn't be feeling fearful and that stuff. And so suddenly it just takes a couple of times for my subconscious mind to put two and two together and tell me, I'm really concerned about you, and my purpose is to serve you and keep you safe. Therefore, I come up with I got to this conclusion that it's not safe for you to feel. So I'm going to shut down my emotional body, and I'm not going to feel anymore because it's not safe to feel. So when we get older, or as we get older, we haven't used this option for so long that is very unknown to us. I don't know how I feel anymore. Couple
Hmm.
of last week I had a session with someone, and I said, "How are you feeling?" I keep coming up to the feeling, right?
Hmm.
I keep coming to the feeling, and she's talking about what she thinks is the right thing to do. And I keep saying, it's not about, I'm not asking you what you're doing. Stop the doing. Tell me how you're feeling. And then she said, maybe I should be doing that. Or if I wasn't doing that, I keep have to bringing it. And that just shows me how distant people are from their emotions
Hmm.
and how they feel.
Hmm.
And when I'm trying in my session to guide them to start feeling, the majority of time they can't really tap into the real feeling.
Hmm.
They come up with something, like, for instance, um, I am angry right now. And I said, can we get deeper into anger? And as she started talking, I keep hearing shame, shame, guilt, and shame. I hear messages and that stuff. And then I have to say, what do you think? Were you shameful when you were a child? Oh, yes, I was in this. My parents were very religious, and as a girl, should be this and that. So
Hmm.
they we tap into the shame, the feeling of shame, and then the feeling of guilt. But they can recognize that. They're just feel that they're angry right now, and that anger is what's causing them to fight with their husband or to fight with children. But they don't know that behind this anger is the feeling of shame. So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for sure. I think you said it exactly, which is, all that stuff, especially those first 7 years. It doesn't end there, but that's where the majority of it happens. There's gonna be anytime that there's a really intense traumatic, or it could be joyful, but anytime there's a really extreme event, that extreme event, that incredible emotional power is going to give access to write some code. Right? If something super super serious, or like because for me as a musician, it's the same thing. Like when I would get on stage, it's like there's that such excitement of being on. You are a performer as well, so there's that extreme excitement of being on stage. So there's that access to write some code in that
Yeah.
moment, and what when but that's not so much a block. When we get to the block, it's because we don't want to feel that way, and there's something that we're protecting. That's often, as you are always talking about, the ego. We form that when we're young. We're forming this identity, and that we have to protect that identity, because that identity is all that we know to survive.
Yeah.
This is what I keep saying. It's like we're talking about the same thing with different words, but I use the words, you use the word ego a lot. I use the word survival a lot, but we're talking
Mhm.
about the same thing.
Yeah.
And we form this identity so that we cannot die. And that ego is very useful to help us not die. And so whenever something is a threat to that, that's what you're holding it against. You have to realize the significance of that. It's so easy coming out of my mouth. It is not easy. As
Yeah.
soon as I challenge you on something, or that comes up, or you get triggered, it's life or death. Your machinery is saying this is life or death. And if we agree with him and we don't hold our own belief here, it might be the end of my existence. And you can't
Mhm.
have that. So that's why I say it's easier said than done. The emotional block, how do you deal with it? And I still deal with this, is it's a two-step process. One, the first step is to acknowledge that you have machinery. Just whether you understand that you've got this ego, and what that ego is, and what it's doing, how it's serving you, the machinery that it exists, how it's serving you. When you understand that, you understand that there is something mechanical happening, and then you adopt a way of being of when you're triggered, becoming aware of it. You become aware of yourself when you're triggered. You're not going to push through necessarily in that moment. If you make a mental note, if you can write it down, whatever. And this is something that, whether you work on your own or you take it to a coach, you're now empowering that coach. So instead of that coach, or even if you go to a therapist, like, rather than saying, I don't know, just the world happens and I don't know. Well, now the coach or the therapist has a lot of work to do. But if you can go to the coach or therapist and say, when people say this, or I'm in this situation, I react and I get triggered, and this is what happens. Now you're actually bringing something that you can work on yourself, or with the coach or therapist. And then what that coach or therapist is going to do is going to start to look with you and say, let's find out the ego, let's find out the survival machine that is triggering this block, so that we can get to the root. And that's where we want to get. What was the genesis of this survival machine, this mechanism? If we can get to that, then we can adopt a way of letting it go, where we can say, oh, I can see that there was a threat, and it was real. It occurred to us as a very real threat at that time. Well, I'm not experiencing that threat, but I live life as though I am. And then you can let that go, and you can, and that's the building, the habit, the new habit, the new muscle of saying, oh, there's that trigger again. And over time, you will win. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's immediate. Sometimes it's immediate because you just realize how absurd it is. It's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, like, you really were in a physically dangerous situation. You're like, well, that was so random. You're like, I've never been in a physically dangerous situation like that. Sometimes it's more subtle, and it can take a very long time.
Yeah. So basically, all this, the first step is the state of awareness, that
Mm-hmm.
I am aware of what's going on. And then the second step is Now that I know this is aware, I have to be acting differently, which is now I have to let the emotion, or I have to sit the emotion, or I can just say emotion, and what does this emotion means. So once I sit into this emotion, what it means, but the majority of time, I'm telling you guys, you need help, you need someone to really get you, because this is what I do, and I see that most of us, they can really identify their emotion or the emotions, because sometimes when I say I feel angry, it's so on surface, and it could be 4 or 5 other things, like being shameful, be feeling guilty, feeling not good enough, could be so many things that's sitting behind this anger, but you only see that you're angry. That's the surface that you see. So anyhow, I'm going to be ending this live, Jeff. If you like to add something, please go ahead and do so. Otherwise, we're going to see you next Thursday.
Yeah, I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say I gotta jump. I'm kind of glad that you're winding it up because I was gonna tell you I needed to jump here.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful. Enjoy your time with your parents, and see if you can get your mom to come and do some coaching for us
that's
for another session, to see what did she do with 3 boys.
that's right.
Thanks, Jeff. Have fun up there.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Okay, everybody. You see what happens. My guest couldn't join us today, so what can I tell you? Anyhow, Roz, emotional block is actually my next webinar, starting not this Saturday probably, but next Saturday. I'm doing, is it 3 months? Yes, 3 months webinar every Saturday. It's going to be probably 7:30 a.m. Los Angeles time. For 3 months, we're going to dive into different emotions. We're going to allow ourselves to let the emotion comes up, tools and techniques, how to let them go. But I think the majority part is just for us to start recognizing the emotions and tapping into them. So I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. Don't forget to like, share. For those of you who are subscribing on my English YouTube channel, if you haven't done it yet, please do so. Sudhi Burnett English. Write loads of comments, not just on one video, on most of my videos on YouTube. Like them, share them, and then you will receive a gift of your choice. Thank you so much. Be careful, guys. The after effect of this eclipse is still going to run for another week or two. So to try to really take it easy, look at things on a different lens. Why so many people kidney falls? I can respond to this right now, honey. It's not about this. Please write a comments on my YouTube English channel, Sudhi Burnett English, and they can forward that to me. Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day. Love you, and see you soon. Bye-bye.